Hi guys, welcome to another episode of our full stack mobile development series. In today's episode, we are going to focus on the verification screen in our Flutter project. In our previous episode, we completed the sign up page and integrated the registration APIs. But before we proceed, let's make some few corrections to our sign up screen. Let's head over to our Android Studio and open our project. Now, because we integrated the registration APIs and we made network calls using the DO package, if you are running the application on Android, you will need to make some changes to your manifest file. So you head over to your project, Android, app, source, main, Android manifest.xml here. Now what you are going to do is in the Flutter documentation here, if you want to make HTTP networking calls, you need to add this to your manifest file. So you need to add the permission for internet in your manifest file. So we head over to our manifest file here, and then we paste it here. So it's in between the manifest and the application. So here you're going to be adding permissions that you need the user to provide to the application. So that's the first thing we need to add. If you tested the application on a physical device on Android and you're having issues, then this is the reason why. Okay. Another thing we also want to make changes to is in our sign up screen. You realize that we are doing a lot in the build. So what we are going to do is we are going to take away the form and then wrap it in a widget. Yeah. So this is the form here, the three text input components and the checkbox. So I take this here and then I say sign up form. I would do an underscore sign up form. Okay, now here I'm going to say that underscore sign up form, and this is going to be a widget, just so you know, and then this is going to return a column with the form as the children. Okay, and then over here it's sign up form like this. All right, now let's look at it. I realize that this is the form. If I comment this out and I see if there's no form, so that's our form. Okay, so you realize that now our build is that much simple. Okay, you notice that I put an underscore here, and that's one of the things we overlooked in the beginning, but I want us to enforce that. So in that, when you have these variables here and you want it to be private to this class, okay, you first append it with the underscore just as you have in the state definition here. Okay, so I'm going to make some of the changes. We are going to change most of these things and then rename them and use the right conversion. So here we have the name, and then I change this. As well as this. So I do the same thing for this also. And then my form key. So now these variables become private to the class. I can do the same thing for this as well, this too. Okay, so moving forward, we are going to stick to the right approach for doing some of these things. Okay, because we are doing refactoring, it's going to make changes to wherever it was being used, so you don't have to go back and fix it. All right, now one last thing is we want to also rename this. Okay, and then call it, this is the sign up one. So same thing. On press, we want to say handle sign up. We want to give it proper names, more descriptive names. And then over here, because we move this up, we have to make sure that we set state on this as well. It's going to work without it because we are calling the set state right before this, and it sort of catches this. However, we want to be explicit about it. Okay, and then that's it. Now let's test our sign up. For now, I'm going to use the Android so that we test another functionality in the networking. The then I tap outside the keyboard heights, I sign up. Now we get the same error. Okay, that means everything works. Okay. The last thing we want to do before we proceed is, now what happens if the user does not have a valid internet connection and we are trying to make this? So I'm going to put the device in airplane mode, and then I'm going to do this again. And I realize I get, oops, an error occurred. And that's because in my controller, I have this line which catches every error that happens. Okay. And that's what's being shown here. So that means that it failed to even make the network connection. We can improve this by checking if the user has a valid network even before we make the request. And we are going to do it in the services. Okay. So first we want to print the error we get on this line. Okay, so I'm going to switch to this, and then I'm going to test the app again. Now you realize I get the socket exception here. Okay, that means that it failed to connect to my address as shown here. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, here we are going to handle the error. So we say e.type is equal to a DO exception type, and then we have these for 1, 2, 3, 4. So these ones suggest that there's an error making the network connection. So it could be a bad internet, or it could be someone connected to the hotel Wi-Fi, which requires authentication before you can actually access the internet. So the person might be connected to a Wi-Fi, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have internet access. So what we're going to do is, instead of repeating this here every single time, we are going to rather move this. So we head over to our API here, and then we say that static DO exception, and then we say that error. Okay, and then we take the, no, we're going to take a string, sorry, and then we take the DO exception type, and we just take the, let's take the response itself, sorry, which is going to be our response, and then we are going to return an error message. Okay, so here in my API, in the auth, I'm copy this, and then I bring it here. So we have our response. Oh, let's get the actual exception, not the response. So we are getting E here is a, this here is a DO exception. Okay, so we get, so we say DO exception dot response. Okay, and then we import this. So we return what the message is. Okay, for now this should work, and then we head over to this, and then we change this, and we say API service dot error message, and then we pass E. Okay, so we get our error message. We should get the same response. Okay, now we head over to API and we want to improve this. So we say that if the type is equal to DO exception type dot connection error. So if it's equal to this, that is one case, or if it's equal to connection timeout, or if it's equal to, I know it's long, but we're going to write it in a better way, send timeout, or if it's equal to receive timeout. Okay, then we know that our message is not an error occurred here, but we say no internet access. And then here I'm going to say, sorry, you need an active internet connection. Okay, and then I take this. Now I'm just going to return app strings dot no internet access. So that's my error message. If not, I return this error message here. Okay, so let's first test this just to be sure it works, and we are going to then improve it. So now you see, I get, sorry, you need an active internet connection. Okay, so we have a better error message. All right, we are going to make some changes also to the snack bar, but let's fix this first. Okay, so now that it works, let's rewrite this in a better way. So let's have we have the no internet access. So we're going to say final no internet access is equal to, and then we're going to have the array of the options. That means that the person has no internet access. I'm just going to take this one out and this out. So that's the last one. Okay, so there are 4. And then I'm going to say, so let's rename this and call it internet errors, a bit more descriptive. So we are going to say that internet errors contains any of this. So if our internet errors here contain this is in our internet errors here, then it's this. If not, it's any of these two. All right. So now let's test this. And then we get the same thing. Now we put on our internet, go off airplane mode, and we sign up. Now we get a different error here, right? But I realize the snack bar is delaying. So what we are going to do is we are going to head over to our utils helper here. And then in our helper, for now, let's use shade 900 for this. I think that would look a bit more good. That's a bit darker. Nice. And then what we are going to do is before we show this snack bar, okay, we want to say that let's scaffold messenger hide the current snack bar. So if there's any snack bar shown before this, hide it. So let's have a look. It will quickly hide what is there and show the new one. Okay, so here I go airplane mode, and now it tells me sorry, I need internet connection. I go off airplane mode, and then I get the email is already taken. So that's it. Let's now work on our verification screen. Let's take a look at our verification screen here. So we have this test, and then this 3 dots representing the input box is the timer, and then a hint showing this to the user. Okay, so we're first going to set up this screen. Okay, so we head over to our auth verification. For now, we've tested the network, so I'm going to close this, and then we are going to use our iOS simulator to test the app. So I'm just going to switch. Okay. Okay, so here in our verification screen, we already have our app bar. I said in the previous episode, we want to move this out. So I'm going to have my components UI. And then here, I'm going to create a new DAP file, call it app bar. And then it's going to be a stateless widget, right? And it's going to be app bar component. Okay. And this is just going to take the final title, which is going to be a string for now. Okay, let me take that here. And then in my verification screen, I'm going to take this app bar here and then replace it with my app bar component. Okay, and the title is going to be app strings of verification. Oh, we have to change the type of the app bar component. It shouldn't be this. It should be a widget. So I'm just going to say widget app bar component, which is an app bar. And this should return this app bar. Let me just first fix this. Okay, we also need a context. So build contest, then the app star. Okay, so now here we just say app bar, which needs the contest. For now, let's just pass the contest. Okay, so that's our app bar. Okay, so now we have our app bar being returned, and we just have to pass the contest. And to get to our app bar, we just say test45@gmail.com 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, now we have our verification screen and we still have our app bar. Okay, great. So here we want to change this and take the title. So string title, which is required. So that means I have to pass the title, which in this case is app verification. Okay. So we have our app bar here. So I can do the same thing in the sign up screen, replace the entire app bar we have here with this and say that this is sign up, and then import the app bar components. Okay, so let's go back to our sign up, and then you realize we have it here. So that's our app bar working. And then one other modification you want to make to the app bar is that you realize that we have this leading icon, and that means at any point in time there's always going to be an arrow back to whether you can even go back or not. Okay, and to make sure that we have this, we are going to say that navigator of that particular contest can pop. If it can pop, then we show this. If not, app spacing dot empty. So if you cannot at any point in time, if you cannot go back, right, we don't want to show this, and we can demonstrate it here by going to our onboard, our walkthrough here, and then when the person taps on the sign up, realize we do push name. We just want to say push name replacement so that there will be nothing to go back to. And then we go back to our sign up, we tap on this, and then realize there's nothing to go back to. Let's fix the title on the sign up here. So app component here, we just want to show the title we took. So realize now there's a sign up, and then we can't go back because there's nothing to go back to. Okay, so now let's undo that and then restart the entire application. Okay, so that's our app bar component. Let's test 123@gmail.com, and then we have 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so this is our sign up screen. Now let's continue on this is the verification screen, sorry. So let's continue on our verification screen. So our scaffold needs the background, which is our app colors.png color, and then we need the body. Okay, so now the body is going to be our list view, and then it has the children. Okay, so the first thing we need is our title here, enter verification code, and let's look at the styling. So it's a medium 36. So we head over to here. We first want to have app, going to have our test, and we're going to say app test, and then we put our new string here, enter verification code. So enter your verification code, that's the string. Now that's it here. Now let's style it. Okay, so we have enter verification code, and it's a from the UI, it's a medium 36. So styles is app styles dot medium, and the size is 36. Okay, and that's it here. Now let's put some padding on our list view. constant. Okay, so now we are coming up slowly. I realize in our UI here, the entire verification is all the way to the bottom of the screen with this space. Now, for this project, we just want to maintain the space we have at the top here, just like we have this, and then we have that, and then this as well. So we just want to keep it because it would all push up when the keyboard shows. Okay, so let's just show it up there. So we have some up spacing, and then we have a vertical of 48. Okay, of size 48, sorry. So now it's down here. And the next thing is we need these 3 dots to represent what's happening. So we can just go ahead and have our vertical, and then we are going to have a row of column, which takes our 6-digit code. So the first charge is, for now, let's use a container of size. So we have a container. The decoration is going to be a box decoration, and then we have a border radius. Border radius, all of them is 50 for now. It's 250, and the color, let's get the color. So this is the color code. So we head over to our app colors. Okay, so we don't have it. So we have this a gray. Yeah. So that's the input background. And then we are going to say app colors. That's input background. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's border dot circular 50. Sorry. And then we need a comma here. And then we need to have a size. So I think here we want to use a size box, and then we're going to have the chart, or we could just use a container with a width 24 and the height of 24. We just want to see it. Okay, so that's our first dot. As you can see, the dots are 16, 16. Yeah, just a bit smaller than I thought. So let's look at 16, 16, just to be sure we have the right. Okay, so that's it there. And we need 6 of them. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I realize that this is too much of work. So what we are going to do is we're not going to do this. We are going to use a better approach. Okay, so we can use a simple loop to render all these 3. Okay, so let me show you how to use the loop. We first just take it out, and then we have a widget, which is our input fields, and this should return the row with the children. And then we put this here, and then we have our input fields here. Okay, let's put this down here. Now we still have the same input fields. I think we also want to look at how, okay, so yeah, and then spacing could do a bit more, so size 53 should be enough. Let's see 48. Okay, so I think that's a bit too much, so let's do 32. Okay, so we have our row. Okay, and then we have this. Now we want to look through this. We want to look through this. Okay, so here we have this container here, and what we can do is we can say that we want to return the loop. Okay, so we replace this and say that list.generate, and it's going to be 6. That's the number of boxes we want to return, and this is going to be our generator, which is going to return the container. And here we need to have the index, sorry. Here, okay, good. So a list generate 6, and this is the index, and that's the container. If you want to see which one we want to see how it works, you can just say child, right, and then return a test of the index to string. Okay, so you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's our boxes there. All right, we can also wrap this entire container and say that we have a pattern of edge insets, all 5 a child of that container. We format it, const, and then these are our 3 boxes. I think, yeah, the spacing is good enough. Okay, all right, so that's our boxes. The user should be able to type in them, but we are using the container just to get the UI set up, and then we are going to fix this into text boxes. And then we have the timer, which is in this here, also below that. So we go back to our list view here, that input box, we have this, so it's 48, and then we have a test, which is going to be our timer. So let's say 5 minutes countdown to resend 1, and then this is title 3, so that's semi-bold 18, title 3, so title 3, okay, so now that's our timer there. And then we need to pass the color, which is going to be our up colors primary, and that's our timer. Okay, so I think this, if you realize the padding is a bit off, but for now we're just trying to show this. We are going to fix it later. And then we have this test. Okay, so just below that we have this test. Okay, I'm just going to go to my app strings here and then say that we've sent you an email, blah blah blah. So here we're going to say that email would replace this, and then we say verification code hint. Okay, so on our verification screen we return app strings verification code hint. All right, and that is of this color. So we have body 1, which is medium 16, so medium, and what's the default for medium is 16. All right, so we can just leave it, but it doesn't have this color. And then that's our string. We are going to replace the email and fix the color. And then I did not receive the code send again, so we just replace this as well, duplicate it, sorry. Okay, and then resend verification code hint. Okay, so that's the hint. Resend, I did not receive a verification code. I did not receive. So here we just don't, let's fix the English. It's a bit off. So did not backslash just to fix the trailing. Now receive the code, send again. Okay. Or we can just say did not, both ways it works. Okay. So here, that is our message. So did not receive the code, send again. And you realize that is underlined and it's the primary color. So here, app colors, I could just say with copy with, and then color is app colors dot primary, which will still fix the color, and then the creation is just the creation dot underline, which will underline it, but it doesn't have the underline. decoration color. So I want to put this color rather here, and then say that this should be our decoration color. Both ways it works. Now this is underlined and it has the right color. Okay. All right, so that's it. And the next thing is the verify button. So we're going to have app spacing size 48 and have our button component, which says app strings, and this should be verify. So I just want to do it up here. Okay, so we have verify and then on press. For now, we do not have anything doing that, so we're just going to do this. Okay, so this is our UI and this is our screen. All right, I think we now have the UI, so let's implement the functionality of the UI. Okay, so we head over to our Android Studio. Over here we need to define our duration. So we say duration, which is our duration is equal to a duration of 0 seconds. Okay, so for now we just want to say minute, 5 minutes. Okay, and then I could just add this. All right, now we want to reduce it when the user opens the screen. Okay, so we head over to here, we say init state, and then we start timer. All right, so let's define what our start timer is. So I'll avoid start timer. It's going to be a timer dot. I need to talk about this periodic, and then we have our duration here. So I'm going to say const duration, which is every 1 second, and then I have my timer. Oh, I forgot to put the underscore, sorry. So this, let me just take this off. Okay, and then I'm going to say that if my final duration dot in seconds is equal to 0, that means I've reached the point I'm supposed to stop the counter. Okay, so here timer dot cancel, so that's this timer, and I cancel it. If not, I take out 1 second from my initial duration and then I display it to the user. So set state duration is equal to duration minus 1 second. So I take out 1 second from my previous duration, but because I marked this as a final, I need to mark it as non-final. So it's going to be in my variable here. Okay, now if this is equal to this, then I reset my duration back to duration with minutes being 5. Okay, and then I set state. So now when I start the view, it's going to show this, or when I tap on the resend, it should show this. Okay, so those are the two places. Okay, so now I have this. I want to go back to my timer here and then show this. So let's have another function. It's going to be our show timer. For this, I'll start timer. Always remember. Okay, and then this is show duration. All right, so now this is going to return the duration we have in minutes and seconds. So you have, let's get the minute, which is equal to the minute from the duration. Minutes here. Dot to string. And then because if you look at the UI, we are putting a leading 0, we want to pad it. So pad left is 2, we want to put a leading 0. and I want to do the same thing for seconds. So in seconds, I want to convert the one left, so we use the modulus 60. Okay, and then we pad it. Good. And then we return the minute plus the seconds. Okay, and we can use we need to have plus this, so we can use interpolation instead. Okay, so good. Now this is our show duration, which is perfect. And then we come to our build here. We replace this with our show duration, and that should return the string. I think, yeah, we are returning the string. So good. Now let's look at it. It's 55. Now on top on the resend, we want to send it again, so we can use an equal, or at this point we can just use a test button. Let's just use an equal. I think that's more easier. Not that it's more easier, it's just more straightforward. Sorry, and then the child, and then we also get the animation as well. See, right? Now let's take a look at the test button. See, it gives you this. So that's why we want to use the equal. Good. Okay, let me format this. On top on the equal, we just want to start the time. Okay. For now, we just want to start the timer. So I tap on this. That should start the timer. As you can see, now we have our timer working. Okay. So that's not the logic though, but we just want to show the timer because we want to rather send the code and then start the timer. Okay. So that they cannot resend again. So that's our timer working. As soon as the timer reaches, let's reduce it, let's say 10 seconds just to see what happens. So 15 seconds, and let's start it again. I go back, I add 4. Now you see it starts 10, 11, right? So let's wait for the timer to start. You see, we said that once it's set, it reaches, we reset it to 5 seconds, and then we cancel the timer. Okay, so I rather want to also yeah, I think that's fine. So now let's set this back to minutes and say that's 5 minutes. So they can only resend after 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, then they can resend it. Okay, so now that's our timer. Let's work on the inputs for the pin code. Okay, so you realize that in our pin code we have this inputs for the 3. So let's go ahead and build the one by one. So I head over to my input fields here, and then this returns this. So we are going to maintain this for now, and then we are going to need test editing controllers. You realize that in our previous episode we used test editing controllers and a form key here, but what happened was we forgot to dispose it off. So we have to dispose test editing controllers and focus nodes when you use them. So in the final step in this episode, we are going to dispose them in both the sign up and verification, but I'm just going to copy them here and then use them. So the input has 6. So I'll say, I'll just change this to pin 1 and this to pin 1. I'm just going to build one and then we are going to replicate it. Okay, so I have pin 1 and then in my row here. Okay, so here I'm going to take away this. This was just to demonstrate what we did. Okay, so I'm just going to take away this. Okay, and then here I'm going to first start with my one field, and then I build to get the 6 fields. Okay, so here I first need a size box. So let's first start with the size box of width 48 and height 48. Okay, and the child is going to be a star. So what I want to do is I want to have the text and this all together, and when the user types something, I hide this one, and when they backspace, I show it again. So I have a stack with these children, and first I want to set the alignment. So alignment dot center, and then in the children, the first one I want to have is my container, which is for this one, and it's with 16, height 16. So with 16, height 16, and then I have the child, which is, for now I'm just going to go ahead and use the decoration. So the decoration, which is going to be a box decoration, and the shape is going to be a circle. Okay, and the color is going to be the app colors dot input bg that we created. And let's take a look at this. So that is it there. Okay, there's a bit of a padding. We are going to fix it later on. And then now I have to have my text form field. So on top of my container, I need a text form field. So a text form field. Okay, and now this text form field, let's set the controller. So controller, our pin editing controller dot test. Oh no, our pin editing controller, sorry. And then we are going to have the focus node, which is going to be our pin1 focus. Okay, so we've set the controller in the focus nodes. Let's save it. That's it, you have it here. Okay, now we want to say the test alignment for this test one field should be center, so that whatever we type should be in the middle. But here we want to have numbers, so 5. Good. Now let's work on the style. So it's going to be app styles. Let's look at the style for this. Is here title 1, that is bold 32. Okay, so bold size of 32. Let's look at it. Okay, so now it's coming up nicely, right? And then what we want to then do is we want to handle the decoration. We do not want the underline, and we do not want the indicator. We just want the user to see the dots in the text. Okay, so here we have our input decoration, which has a border, and here our input border is going to be none, so there will be no line there, right? Good. And then we do not want any padding, so edge is at 0, so there will be no padding. So that is sort of centers the text right in the middle, so you see right over the dot. Okay, and then here one thing we want to do is if the user types 5, we don't want them to type another one, so we want to say that the max line and the max length is 1. So we save this. That means that when they type something, they see, we want to fix that. And then because we're introducing the max length, we have to, there will be a counter. So let's say the counter is this, and then let's see now they can't type anything more than that. If I take away this count, you see now it has 1/1 down here, so that's what the counter test is for. So when they type 5, it's done. Now we want to also show the user only the keyboard to type numbers. So keyboard test input type number. So when they show, it shows only the numbers. Okay, so they can't do anything other than type numbers. All right, so far we have this. The last thing is we want to hide this cursor. So we say cursor color is going to be colors.transparent. Okay, so now when the user comes here, they can type, but you realize there's no cursor. So that's our first dot. Okay, good. So now the next thing is we have to do this. 5 times, and you realize we cannot repeat this code 5 times. So the best way to do this is up here, I create a static constant and I say OTP length. So that's the length of the OTP, and here it's 6. We know that from the backend. And then instead of doing this, we are going to say final controllers, and this is equal to a list.generate, which will take the OTP length. And then here you need it, so it's like this, which should return this. Okay, but because we are not using the index, we can just say this and then convert this into a one-liner. Okay, so now this will generate a list of 6 test editing controllers needed. Yeah, so we do the same thing for focus nodes, and then I copy my focus node over here. Okay, so now I come back to my sized box here, 48, and then what I then do is I take everything in here, and then I remove this, and then I say that list dot generate my OTP length, and then I have my generator, and here I need my index because we are going to use it in our, so we are going to return this size box. We need a semicolon there. Now we change this to controllers, and then we pass the index, so get the controller at that particular index, and then we do the same thing for the pin focus, so the focus nodes, and then we take the index. Okay, so now this should give us 6 boxes. As you can see, if we show the cursor, let's show the cursor, and then realize that 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, for now let's just show the cursor. When we are done, we hide the cursor. I can put this in a const. Okay, now the next thing is when the user types 5, we want to move to this one, right? Okay, and we want to also hide the circle behind. So right now you can see there's a circle behind. Let me just use one and realize around the one there's this. Yeah, so what we are going to do is unchanged. Okay, we have the value unchanged. Here we are going to just set state. Okay, we're just going to trigger the set state, and then over here we're going to say that if the controllers at this particular index, okay, when you trim it, when you get a test and we trim it, it's empty, we should show the container. So here, if I remove this, it shows it. If I type 1, it shows only the 1. Okay, if I type 7, it shows only the 7. The circle goes away. So that's exactly what we are doing. So realize this, but now we have to manually go through one by one, and that's not what we want to do. Okay, we can also say that space evenly is center. Okay, so center is that, and we say start takes it to the left side. Okay, so now we have this, and then another thing is we want to move left and right. So here, let's say if I type 5, I want to be moved to this next one. Okay, and if I go backspace, I want to come back to the second one. Okay, so here I say if the value dot is empty, sorry, if the value dot is not empty, and I could move to the next one, so the index is still less than the length of the focus nodes, -1. So the length of the focus nodes, that means if I can still move to the next one, then let me format this first, then my focus node, my next focus node should request focus, right? So let's just test that one first. So here, if I type 5, it moves 7. See, good. Now what happens if I go backspace, right? So that is if, now if it's empty, so if the value, I think we want to even trim first, just to be sure we are getting, even though we are taking number, at this point is empty, right? And then I could go down. So my index is greater than 0. That means I'm still not at the first one. Then I could go to the one beneath it. Okay, so let me format this. So now if I go backspace, 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 backspace. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now if the focus node I have is the index I am at is the last one. So if the index is equal to the length, so that means I'm on the last item. Then I want to say my focus scope dot of the context on focus. So take away the focus so that it hides the keyboard. Okay. Oh, sorry, I have to say -1. So if I'm on index 5, that is the length of this -1. So here, see, so now let's start. But we have to check if the value is not empty. Okay, so here we have to also check that it's not empty. That means if they've typed something, right? So if they've typed something, then it's there. If not, you go back. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it hides. If I backspace, then it goes back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So that's our input for the verification code. We want to also then work on the padding just to make sure that it's on the side as the other one. Okay. Let's also remember to remove the cursor indicator that we're using to test. So the cursor color is going to be colors dot transparent. So now we do not have any cursor, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay, so let's make a few changes. I think this is okay. We are going to improve it a bit more in the next episode. But in our app bar, you realize that first we are returning an app spacing.empty, which is an empty size box to this leading. We don't need it because the leading also takes a null. If it's null, it returns nothing. And then we update this. And also let's rename this. I think calling it app bar component is a bit off because it's not a component per se, it's building the app bar. So let's refactor this and call it build app bar instead. Okay, so that should update the import here and then also in verification. Now don't worry about the form key. We are going to use it in the next episode when we validate the form and everything. In this episode, we just wanted to focus on getting the UI for this. Okay, and yeah, I think that is fine. This is okay. It works. You can get the verification code. You realize the counter starts going down for 5 minutes. All right, so in our next episode we are going to integrate the OTP endpoint to verify and as well as resend and also show the email here. So we are going to persist the user when they sign up and then show the email here. All right, so that's it for today's episode. Please, if you have not subscribed, please do so and hit on the notification bell to be notified on the next update. Like, share, and comment. See you.